brand new album by Covet. Their brand new album called Catharsis. So, Covet, California math rock band, is back with a third full-length studio album, Catharsis, fronted by main songwriter and guitarist Yvette Young. The album was released on April 7th, 2023. Are you muted right now?
No, I'm doing, you said math rock, so like 1 + 1 is 2.
I mean, that probably is pretty good description of
Yeah.
math rock. But anyways, quick quote from her about the actual album. Music has always been escapism for me and a great source of therapy. My hope for this music is that it will take people somewhere and stir their imaginations, or at the very least, make them feel something. I named this record Catharsis because the word to me feels like a triumphant exodus. No matter the dire circumstances, music is one of those things that I've always needed to create to survive in all senses of the word. And time again, I turn to guitar and songwriting as my outlet to uplift and feel like I have control over something in this chaotic universe. So, this album, Ben thought I said meth rock. No, math rock, as in 2 + 2 = 4.
Yeah, they just take a bunch of meth and then they just like play. That's how they don't even have a plan. They just play.
All right, Eric, your thoughts on this album?
So I've checked out Covet before, never listened to any of their full albums at all. I know like they have some vocals in their songs, but not a lot, but mainly instrumental.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I actually kind of enjoyed this album. Like I've never hated Covet. I've always liked them. Like they're like when you say math rock, like I'm sure there's different types of notes that I've probably never played in my life. But I mean, that's probably where the math rock comes in, and probably like obscure time signatures I can imagine for sure. But I mean, like I kind of dug it. Like it wasn't like an album that like kind of pumps you up. Like I feel like you really need to appreciate like or grasp an understanding of what music is like. And I'm not saying like oh, this band is better than this band. I'm saying like actually like how it's created and just like the thought process that goes into actually like putting it on paper. So that's where I really enjoy Covet, because they kind of push the limits like a lot. But I felt like it was very well produced, not overly produced, which is great. I find a lot of like instrumental stuff, they really pump up the guitars.
Or to the grid.
Yeah, exactly. But I enjoyed it. Like I felt like this was a great album. Like I can kind of plop on and just get stuff done. I really enjoyed Bronco. I thought that was probably one of my favorites on the album. But yeah, like it's Covet. So like
no, I'm so happy that you said Bronco, because that is my favorite song on this album. Like it's so good. It's such a good song. But yeah, like there's so many like virtuoso guitar players that are just like shred monsters. Like all they do is just like notes, and just like blow your head off with that. Covet is different. It's definitely very technical, complicated guitar parts, but it approaches it a bit differently. I like the way I like see it. It's more about the complexity of the rhythm plus like the tone and like you know like how the chord shapes are. The chord shapes for sure are just like out of this world. Like I don't know, I know she used like alternate tunings and stuff, but man, like the chords that she comes up with on this is just like I've never heard those before. And not to say that she can't shred, because there's definitely like shreddy parts on this album, but it's not the focal point. It's not like, look at me, I can play all these notes like really quickly. This for me, a lot of this album felt like you were sort of like drifting on a cloud rather than just like rocking out.
That's actually a good like metaphor for that, drifting on a cloud, because and I do agree, like a lot of guitar players just shred. Like she can shred, but again, like she does it tastefully.
Yeah.
right? Like some of the best solos I think in my mind are when they're actually thoughtfully laid out melodically, like to the song, and it sounds good. But then you get those guitar players, which I call them like jock guitar players, because they're just
Right.
like right? And then that's all they do. So and it's like, okay, cool, man. That's great, but that doesn't sound like, it just sounds overwhelming to you, right?
Yeah, it's just over the top. It's like this whole record just like lush guitars. If you're like a super guitar nerd, like the tones that she gets on this record is just like out of this world.
Yeah, she's hitting some harmonics on there that I was just like, how the fuck do you do that?
Yeah, it's like madness. But like, front to end this album, it's not bad. I wouldn't for me, I wouldn't say it's like the perfect record. There's still like points when it sort of lost me. Like towards the middle of this album, surprisingly, I was like, oh, Vanquish and Smolder. I was like, okay, that's interesting, but like I sort of fell asleep on those ones. Um, but track 5, Interlude, the piano stuff,
That was pretty cool.
that was a bomb track. That was so good.
I did feel like yeah, they kind of like lost you at the middle a bit, but I did feel like this was the perfect length of an album, like in terms of just like 8 songs. Like there was nothing more, nothing like too less. Right. So like I would say it was like a good blend of everything. Right. So
yeah, like the front of this album is so good, the back of this album is so good. The interlude is like it's a great mini song, I would say. But the middle album sort of sags a bit. I would say on that one. But honestly, Covet still like one of my favorite bands of all time. And they're math rock because actually this album was a little bit less math rock in my mind, but essentially you get branded math rock if you just use weird time signatures. If you go from like 5/4 to like 7/8 to like 4/4,
I see.
like you just keep switching it every measure, then you end up being called math rock because you're just like counting all the time, going 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5, like you're just counting all the time.
Oh man, I would not do well in a kind of band like that.
There were definitely like time signature changes for sure, but it was less prevalent on this album compared to like previous records, I feel like, which is nice. Like playing in 4/4 is perfectly fine if you're gonna be playing like super complex guitar parts.
So would you classify yourself as math rock if you just went from 4/4 time to 2/4 time?
No. That's nothing. It's like grade 1 counting.
You're changing the time signatures.
It's like
just play the chorus in 2/4 time.
It's just like a field change. That's not even a time change. But yeah, like I'm so excited to see this band. I'm gonna be seeing them this Saturday, so
sick. That's awesome.
Yeah, it'll be pretty cool to see how they are live. I'm a bit concerned, to be honest, with the live performance, just because like I don't think this band is actually built to be like a live performance, like especially on this record, because it is very not in your face but very atmospheric, very lush. It feels more like a shoegazer band where it's more about the vibe of the band, which I've never been excited to see a band when it's just like they're making a soundscape and you're there to get high and like feel the music. Like I really do enjoy moshing and just like, singers getting in your face and screaming at you. That's the type of like shows I want to go to. But I'm always up for something new. So I do love this band. So
right on.
Yes, and Chasing Dragonflies is coming with. We're gonna go see them.
Right on. That's awesome.
Alrighty. Final thoughts, ratings on this one, Eric.
I mean, I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was anything like too crazy special. Like it's Covet. So, I mean, I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10 for sure. I enjoyed it. I'd probably like put it on again as like just to get stuff done around the house, kind of clean and kind of like not when you're like, I just need something to just kind of like float on a cloud, like you said. Like that's the perfect analogy for this.
Yeah, I'm giving this an 8 because like I'm just super impressed with like Bronco. Oh my god, that song is so
That's a
good.
good song.
I
That's
love
a
that song.
neat song.
And it's not like your typical like
Mhm.
there's guitar parts in there just like what the frick? How are you doing
Yeah,
this?
yeah. There's some harmonics that she's hitting that I'm like, what the hell? Like I remember I picked up the guitar to try to like figure it out, but I couldn't figure it out. So
Yeah, it's so good. But
yeah.
I'm giving this an 8 out of 10 because like it's definitely
Mhm.
not a perfect album, but it doesn't have to be. It's just a good album to listen to. Like there's nothing, it's just nice to listen to. 8 out
Exactly.
of 10. All right, cool. So that was our discussion on Catharsis by Covet. And I don't know why we do this, but the album that we will be doing for next week is the brand new album by the mighty Metallica. The brand new album, 72 Seasons. Spoiler, I've already started listening to this, and as a huge Metallica fan, I can't deal.
Next week's episode's gonna be awesome, guys. That's what I'm saying.
Every time Metallica releases a new album, I'm so excited, but I also know it's just going to be pain and suffering.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be glory. It's
I
gonna
just
be freaking glory, man.
I just always hold out hope that, something, if we just something good, but it's just pain and suffering. Every 8 years a new album comes out.
Oh man.
Ben has a funny joke in here. He's trying to find 72 reasons to like this album.
Oh, there you go.
All right, let's wrap this up. So Eric did have a triggering statement this week. He described a song by our mutual friend as a circus raping Christmas.
I don't think that's controversial
It's
because if you would have heard it, you would have thought the same thing. But sure, why not? For the sake of the podcast, why not?
but yeah. Anyways, let's close this off. Oh, let me get rid of Metallica off the screen. So that's it. That. This is the Crossroads Music Podcast. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We're gonna be back here Monday again, 10 p.m. ET, 7 p.m. PT here at twitch.tv/the Crossroads Music Podcast. But catch us on Spotify, Apple Music, all those wonderful places. I don't think that's. Is there anything else, Eric? I can't remember if there's. Sorry, my mind is just like everywhere right now because I'm just thinking about the new Metallica record and just like I'm trying to hold in all my thoughts right now, but I'm saving it for next week.
I got nothing to say. Rock on.
All right.
Keep listening to good music.
All right, perfect. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you all next week.